Good morning, good morning, good morning to the leader in you. This is Catherine, your host, and we are back for another edition where we are now in the month of December. We are officially now in the final countdown till 2022. And so this month, we will be talking about getting unstuck. Because one thing I know is that when we're trying to build and we want to build with momentum, you can't build with momentum if you're stuck. If you're stuck in your mindset, if you're stuck emotionally, if you're stuck with building your business in any capacity, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a for-profit business, we have to get to a place that we do not get stuck in a rut to the point that we become immobile, paralyzed, not moving, stuck. So yes, today we're talking about getting unstuck, and we're going to have different breakout conversations around getting unstuck the rest of the month of December. When we think about getting unstuck, the first step towards getting somewhere is to do what? To decide. You have to make a decision. You have to make a decision as to where you're going. You have to make a decision on what you're going to leave behind that's no longer serving you, that no longer has a purpose, but is just gnawing at you and it's taking away and depleting your energy. And when you're not energized, you stay stuck because you don't have the energy to move forward. Think about when you're getting up in the morning. Think about those days that has been super challenging for you to get up out the bed and just start your day. You know, sometimes it could be what we're eating, lack of exercise, lack of whatever. Things that we're not putting into our body to make sure we are energized the next morning. So again, the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. So the question is, what decisions do you have to make this month of December? What decisions do you have to make? Oprah says nothing happens until you decide. Now we know she was not born into money. She had to create atmospheres in her life to produce what she has today. It didn't just materialize out of thin air. Look up her story, look up her history. Many of you know that she wasn't born into money. She had to build to where she is today. And again, she stated, which is something common, but not always embraced. Nothing happens until you decide. Sometimes you can be between two decisions and you're just stuck there because you haven't made a decision. Listen, this month of December is the month to make your decision before January 1st. Make decisions now. You don't have to wait till January 1st to make your aha moment decision. You can make it now so you can thrust into next year with momentum. Getting unstuck gives you momentum. Another thing, when we talk about getting unstuck, a lot of times when we're caught between two decisions is because we're not honoring our truest feelings. A lot of times we know what decision we want to make, but we're second guessing our true feelings because we want to know, is it going to measure up to what someone else is going to think or what they're going to say about our decision? Is someone going to embrace our decision? You know what? Honor your feelings and just make a decision. You can't worry about what other people are going to think. And again, this is something that's commonly said, but not always embraced or acted on. So sometimes we're caught in between two decisions and we're stuck because we're not honoring our feelings and we're not honoring what we truly want to do and we're not executing on it. Point number 2, we have to tap into who we are versus, who we are being versus who we really are. Sometimes who we're being is not even who we really are. The real of who we are is hidden because we're impersonating someone else. We're being someone else. We're being who we think others want us to be versus being who we truly are, our innate ability, our born ability, our authentic self. Listen, if we can't get to the place that we're authentic with ourselves, we can never be authentic with anyone else. And therefore, we will stay unstuck. Yes, I know we can post many things on social media and it can make us look like we're moving forward. But you know when you log off of social media where you really are. We can post anything on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media accounts out there to make us look like we're moving forward. But the question is, are you really moving forward? Or are you stuck? Point number 3, don't be afraid to start over. Listen, I had a conversation with a colleague and I just shared with the individual, listen, if you need to take time off, if you need to refresh yourself, do it. There was a season with my nonprofit, I had to take off 1 year to refresh myself, to look back at our mission, to put our strategy, our game plan together, because things was just not coming together. And it's okay. Sometimes leaders feel that you cannot take time off or take a step back to re-strategize, to refresh yourself, to build yourself back up. Now, that doesn't mean you're stuck when you take a pause. Now, when you're taking a pause, it truly needs to be a time where you're refreshing yourself, because even in your state of pause, you're refreshing yourself so that when you do get back in the game, you can move forward with momentum. Okay, if you notice, I keep using that word momentum. So if you do need to take a pause, take it and refresh yourself, re-strategize, and pick yourself back up. Start over with momentum. Point number 4, take time for you. Take time for you. And if this is something not necessarily that you're taking a long pause, this take time for you is something that's done on a consistent basis, daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. What are you doing for yourself weekly that's just for you? To help you stay vibrant, to help you stay fresh with your creative thinking. What are you doing for yourself? Even if it's 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, what are you doing for yourself weekly? What are you doing for yourself monthly? What are you doing for yourself quarterly? Make time for you. If you make time for you, you will not get so jaded to the point you get stuck. If you make time for you. Point number 5. Don't be afraid of taking a different path when you start over. Listen, if you are one of the ones that you just need to pump the brakes, pause for a second, and after you refreshed yourself and after you looked at your strategy and say, you know what, I don't think this path is working, we really need to shift gears. We need to shift gears. Some of you might have heard one of my previous podcasts talking about the shift. Sometimes we have to shift. If we keep in the path that we're going in is not working, we're beating our head against the wall, it's just not working. Sometimes you have to take a different path. When we think about getting unstuck and we think about the word getting is in the process of, it is in pursuit of, and you are arriving to a particular destination. Again, when you think about the word getting, it is in the process of, in pursuit, arriving to a particular destination. When you think about it means to change. Then when you change something, it will create a chain of events that will happen. Again, when you step out and create and make change, it will create a chain of events that will happen. Now, when we think about the word stuck, we think about non-movement. Nothing is moving. There are no results. There's no action. You're standing still and you're caught in the in-between places of life. Again, when a person or business, an entity is stuck, there's no movement, there's no results, there's no action, standing still. You're in the in-between places of life. Again, we can post anything on social media, but when we log off of social media, we know if we're actually stuck or if we're unstuck. There's a quote that says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And that is a quote by Nelson Mandela. Again, it says, it seems impossible until it's done. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is Good Morning to the Leader in You, where we motivate, where we provoke you to rise to the leader that's on the inside of you. Yes, it may seem impossible in the very beginning. Absolutely. But you know what? At the end of the day, You have been called out. You have been chosen for this particular time. So yes, it may seem impossible, but you have the wherewithal in you to make it happen. There's another quote that says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And that's a quote by Zig Ziglar. Again, it says you don't have to be great to start. Some of you may be saying, I don't have all the tools. I don't have all the resources. I don't even feel that I'm educated enough to step out on my leadership capacity. I don't even feel I'm ready. Do I have all the tools? Zig Ziglar says you have to start to be great. In that motion, that activity, you're going to be learning, you're going to be building, you're going to be growing. And of course, we always should be doing personal development all the time. I don't care how long someone has been in business. I don't care how long someone's been in a leadership capacity. We should never be to a place that we say we have arrived. Leaders should always be in a state we are always growing, always yearning, always reaching for that next level. There's another quote that says, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Again, sometimes we are impersonators and we are not embodying who we truly are. Because of society, because of fears of just stepping out and being you, whatever it is. We have to walk in authentically who we are in our leadership capacity. There's another quote that says, feeling unsure and lost is a part of your path. Don't avoid it. See what those feelings are showing you and use it. That is a quote by Louis C.K. It says, feeling unsure and lost in your path. Listen, sometimes you may feel unsure. Sometimes you may feel lost. The quote says, though, don't avoid it. See, we as leaders, we can't avoid those pathways that may seem a little uncertain. It's in those uncertain pathways that we grow in our leadership capacity. If we avoid it, we cannot grow. If we avoid it, we cannot mature as a leader. As you go through that path, tap into what your feelings are showing you about who you are. And I'm telling you, you will rise to the occasion as a leader as you continue to build and grow. Another quote says, and this is a powerful one. It says, inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. That's a quote by Dale Carnegie. I'm going to read that again. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. So I want you to think for a second. If you're in a season of doubting and you're fearful, check your activity level. What, if anything, have you been doing? Because your activity is going to produce the results that you want to see. The quote goes on to say, action breeds confidence and courage. You know why? Because let's say you took a pathway that was challenging. Let's say you took a pathway that you was unsure and you felt a little bit lost. But as you continue to go through that pathway, you began to get confident. You began to get courage. Because sometimes when you're in that unknown charted territory, you ain't got no choice but to get confident. Because you out there on your own. You're either going to be confident or you're going to walk away and hide somewhere. And you're going to build courage in the process. If you want to conquer fear, you can't just sit home and think about it. You got to go out and get busy. You got to go out and take action. Listen, today is the 7th. This month is going to be done before we can blink our eye. In order for us to go into next year not being stuck, this has to be the game changer month. This has to be the month where we shift mentally in how we think about things, how we do things, how we process things in our mind. Our body flows with it. Down to everything in your life, what you think on a daily basis will dictate how you flow into next year. Listen, I am constantly staying on my grind to pursue, to make sure my mindset is in its proper place for all that I'm called to do in my leadership capacity. And same thing with you. What are you centering yourself around? What are you listening to? What are you feeding yourself? Sometimes we're watching so much negative things on TV and taking in so much negative things. It's just feeding into us to stay stuck. And we'll never get unstuck if we're constantly in environments that's keeping us in a place of stuck. Again, when we think about getting, it is in the process of, in pursuit of, arriving to a particular destination. When we think about it means to change. And when you change, it will cause a chain of events that will happen. Stuck means no movement, no results, no action, standing still. You're in the in-between of life. As I get ready to wind down, I'm going to go back to the opening quote. It says the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are. Our 5 points for this podcast was: number 1, honor your feelings. Number 2, tap into who you are being versus who you really are. Number 3, don't be afraid to start over. Number 4, take time for you. And number 5, don't be afraid of taking a different path when you start over. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have to get unstuck. We cannot make these declarations and just wait till the 1st of next year. We have to do it now. Why? So we can go into next year with momentum. Listen, this is Catherine Trotter, your host. If you need assistance around business development and strategy, if you're trying to get your 501c3 tax exempt status, send me an email, ct@catherinetrotter.com. And again, my website is www.catherinetrotter.com. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at CTR Strategy Solutions. Again, I would love to work with you. As you know, I always end my podcast by saying I'm going to see you at the top. You know why? Because we are all in a state of movement and getting unstuck, in progression and moving forward. So I speak life over you. I speak life over your family. I speak life over your community. I speak life over your mindset, that as of today, you will be in the process of getting unstuck and making the decisions that you need to make well before the 1st of next year, because the time is now. The time is not tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. So make a decision now to get unstuck. And I'm going to see you at the top.